Holy shit! We just watched the first episode of, what's it called?
Barakamon.
Barakamon or Barakamon?
Barakamon, yeah.
Or Barakamon. We're both also... Oh, I'm very drunk. I don't know about you.
I'm pretty drunk too, yeah.
Alright, we're pretty drunk.
Right
but
there.
I enjoyed the hell out of Barakamon.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I think being drunk made me enjoy it even more than I would have, but I did enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Which is surprising because it's a slice of life show, sort of.
I actually kind of like thought it was gonna be like way more boring than what it was.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more funny than I expected it to be.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, but that's also why I say that like being drunk like made it even funnier.
Yeah.
Because there were parts where I died, but it was definitely a very funny show. Very heartwarming. I think the first episode gives us a very clear idea of what it's going to be.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the kind of like pilot episode that could be its own standalone.
Definitely.
Like if this was just like this could have been one episode, and it still would have been a pretty good show. You know, like as a pilot, sort of like Haikyuu for anyone who remembers me talking about that. Have you ever seen Haikyuu?
Have not.
Volleyball show where the first episode is like originally it's like a one-shot manga, and the one-shot tells you the story so well that like as I was watching the show, I was just like, but I already got it all. And like the first episode, I perfectly understood what it was gonna be. But anyway, Barakamon is about a guy who's a calligraphy
artist.
Yeah, he's a calligraphy artist who has a very standard style, and someone calls it like a critic calls him out on it, and he punches.
Well, I think he was like the guy who's like on some kind of like calligraphy board or something.
Yeah, he like ran the museum or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And he was the main character was trying to get in, and the guy who was judging his work criticized it as too generic, and he punched the guy.
Just straight like downplayed all of his work, and just straight just like decks the guy in the face.
And so the main character moves out to an island.
Is it an island or is it just like a remote area of Japan?
Did he not say an island?
I think he did, but
I think it's an island. I think it's probably a southern island
of
Japan or something. In any case, he moved out to an island or something. He moved into the fucking boonies.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a, city slicker moves out to the boonies, finds out how great, people are.
Yeah, how,
the simplicity of life out there. As we learn about his apartment, it's like he has like a fucking crank stove or whatever.
Yeah, everything is very like backwoods.
Yeah.
Like old-timey.
Old tech. And, people hang out outside. Everyone knows each other in the town.
I guess it's true in Japan. Southern hospitality.
Right, yeah. Assuming it's in the South.
Well, yeah.
But, like, my favorite scene in it was when, not my favorite necessarily, but at the beginning when he's riding in the truck with the guy and he can't understand anything he's saying because the accent is so thick. Because that's something a lot of people don't realize about, like, other languages in general, is that all languages have multiple dialects. Like, English speakers know that, like, there's a Texas accent, there's a New York accent, and they're very different. But they don't realize that all that applies to every language. And so, like, my Japanese teacher, my third-year Japanese teacher, was a Russian guy.
Oh, yeah, I remember you telling me about
This is a Russian guy. So his first language is Russian, and his second languages are English and Japanese. And this guy had studied Japanese while he was in Russia as part of their exchange, because they have the same exchange program we do, which is because our exchange program is you learn Japanese and then you go to Japan and become an English teacher. I know several people who've done it, like several anime bloggers who've done it. And it's a pretty big program. Well, this guy was in that for Russia. They send him to Japan, but they send him to, like, a northern-ass prefecture, and he couldn't understand anything anyone said. He'd been studying we were filming a video. He'd been studying Japanese for 5 years, and he shows up in this town and has no idea what anyone's saying. Imagine the level of culture shock you would feel.
His mind was just like he
Dude, I always felt sorry for that guy because he came to teach our class. The thing is, he went to Japan, and he taught there for a few years, right? He lived there for several years. He taught there for a few years. He was teaching Japanese students. So then he came to America, and he had taught some classes up in like Michigan or something, and then he came and taught here at in Virginia Beach. And we're kind of a ghetto school, you know, Bayside. Like, people don't really pay attention. And he was just like, I could tell he'd never met a class with such a low work ethic. And the fact that we were Japanese 3, there was like a lot of shit we should have known, and we did not know. And he just like couldn't wrap his head around how we didn't understand the curriculum at all. And yeah, it was pretty sad. And that guy was under a lot of stress because of it.
I can imagine.
Like the multiple layers of culture shock he was feeling. There was unbelievable. But yeah, so that was a really relatable segment to me, that he goes out there and can't even understand what people are saying. The little girl is adorable. I love. There's an easy way to tell. Because I know a lot of people get worried when they see a show with a little girl and they're like, oh God, please tell me it's not a fan service show with the little girl. But you can easily tell when it's not going to be one, because she's voiced by a real little girl. Like, it's obvious that it's a real kid voicing her. You know? If it was going to be a fan service show, she'd have like a regular voice actress playing her, and she'd sound way too old to be to be that age. But no, this girl is like maybe 7 or 8 years old. She's like really young, obviously played by a kid. A lot of fun, a lot of energy. What's great is that I was worried she would be the only source of energy in the show. But the main character is pretty energetic too. You know, he punched a guy. I mean, he's young, he's hot-blooded, he's, you know, trying to prove himself. Passionate. Very passionate individual about his calligraphy. I think it's interesting that he defends his calligraphy at the beginning. Totally. He's like, because he's saying, I kind of agree with to an extent. It's like, I mean, I feel like you have to learn the fundamentals of anything. Definitely, I don't disagree that the fundamentals can be a good thing. Like, there's plenty of stuff that sticks to the basics that is still good, and I think definitely there's a common rule that I learned in college, especially from my photography teacher, would always say, you need to know the basics before you can start experimenting. You know, like, because if you think, oh, I'm not gonna fucking do what anyone tells me, I'm not gonna conform, and you try to make something, but you don't know what you're doing, it's gonna be shit. Whereas if you take the basics and then you go, all right, well, what if I tweak it like this and then it's different? Then you make something interesting. You know, I mean, none of the greats in any artistic medium don't know the basics. They might not have learned it in a conventional way. Maybe they didn't go to college, or maybe they just have like more of a natural sense. But they definitely have an understanding. They get what good shot composition is. I feel like that is going to be like a theme throughout this entire show. Definitely. Just like, you know, him and his, like, what he feels like, what he needs to do to, I guess, like, surpass the, you know, this I don't want to call it a lull that he's in, but definitely like to get to the next level in to progress in his art. There's definitely a lot going on in this show. On the one layer, there's the story of getting to know a small town, getting to see like, oh wow, it's really fun to live out here. These people are interesting. It's just like, I guess it's a kind of a contrast between like city life and like, you know, a country life. You know, living out, you know, in a rural area where, you know, everyone knows each other. Everyone's familiar with each other. A little bit of a My Neighbor Totoro. Have you ever seen Totoro? Unfortunately, I'm ashamed to say this, but I have not seen Totoro. I only saw it recently myself. But it's sort of a, like, family moves out to the rural Japan story. But less, like, it's more about, like, the kids and what they discover out in the middle of rural Japan. It was based on Hayao Miyazaki's, like, memories of... like, when he lived out in the country and, like, he wanted to recapture that sort of vibe. But it's got a little bit of that vibe, that, you know, that moving out to the country, seeing the beauty of the world around you rather than what city folk are worried about. So there's that level, and then there's the level of just like fun, adorable comedy with the little girl character, which I think is like it works. They have like a lot of chemistry together. It's fucking hilarious. Like, so far there's been a lot of funny scenes. Like, he's like very just like brooding and like, you know, just kind of like dwelling on what has happened. He's the perfect mixture of brooding and angry. Where he's not emo. He's not some fucking kid who sits around like crying
No,
about his life. He is emo, but it manifests as anger.
But no, it's just like he's just a pissed off individual.
Right. He's young mad that his life's not going the way he wants.
And then you got this adorable little girl who just wants to have fun all the time.
Yeah, it's that. There's that, and then there's also the artistic thing, the progress with his career. So there's a lot going on. All of it's likable. The animation is very expressive.
Dude, that's what I thought. I was like,
very expressive.
Dude, the whole scene when he's like he's doing calligraphy on like the door or whatever. I was like, wow, this is
right from the beginning, because they show that scene at the start. Yeah, it was like, all right, this is a very passionate scene, and then throughout, like the movements of the characters, especially the little girl, extremely expressive, very well animated. They move like brush strokes almost.
Yeah.
Like the way the characters move has this like very suddenness to it that it looks really good. I would say probably out of the shows I've watched so far this season, this one had the most visual appeal by far. Most unique animation, most unique visual style, and best.
It's funny because when I was like reading the synopsis to the show, I was like, man, this is probably gonna be kind of boring. Yeah. But then watching it, it was like,
I mean, I'm sure there will be slower episodes as well. There'll probably be a couple.
But it was a good first episode.
Yeah, definitely, very solid.
And like I was completely surprised like how fun it was to watch. It was funny, and it has a lot of different elements that can be explored later on.
I don't know how much our attention span was affected by being drunk, which makes it so. Because for me, when I'm drunk, everything seems to happen a lot faster.
Right.
So that could contribute to it, but overall, I would easily say this is my favorite show I've watched so far this season.
I would definitely put it up there so far.
Well, all you've watched is this and Sailor Moon Crystal and Bakumatsu Rock, right?
Well, yeah.
But nonetheless, it's good.
Well, no, I watched Tokyo Ghoul too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So 4 shows thus far.
Yeah, it's a pretty good selection to choose from. So yeah.
But I would say out of those 4, Barakamon is
the best.
Yeah.
Highly recommended. Go watch it right now. Do it.